Hello, my name is Claire Barrett. I have more than 50,000 hours of consulting under my belt, either consulting or being consulted to, mostly at large, globally recognized companies, where APIs underpin their business and technology strategies. As a director of APIsFirst and a co-founder of the API Collective, I help people and teams accelerate their API journey. And today I'm going to talk about API product management. It's a discipline that's still less than 15 years old. However, a discipline that's powering embedded business models across all sectors and all industries. I'm going to introduce some of the context, discuss some key shifts that we're seeing in product management and API product management specifically in large, mature organizations, and introduce some of the capabilities that are emerging for the API product manager of the future to meet those requirements. To illustrate what we mean by embedded businesses, I'm inviting you to look at it from an imaginary organization's perspective. This is an imaginary organization that has characteristics very similar to many of the clients that we work with. So our imaginary business is relevant for a Helsinki audience. This business is a heavy equipment manufacturer. One of its product categories is tractors. The organization and the people who look after the tractor products know all about what's needed for different types of terrains, mountains and fields. They know the different uses for agriculture and lifting and moving. They understand the different types of businesses, whether they're commercial, large-scale farming needs or small holdings. They know what sorts of materials to construct their products with to meet different types of environment requirements, how to ensure they're energy efficient. Effectively, they know all about the customer, the drivers of their tractors and what they need. Now, if we look more furtherly at the product team for this organization, they also know a lot about the ways in which they get their tractor products to market. They know about the distribution channels, the dealerships, the maintenance companies, the exporters that are moving their products to be able to be on-sold and used in the target markets that they go after. They know about the distribution channels, the ERP systems, the export shipping processes, the safety, the regulatory environments for those products and the markets that they sell them to. But now, of course, the world has changed. That same manufacturer now offers digital products as one or more APIs based on its, for example, tractor data. APIs that are available for others to use, for others to embed in their systems. These could be existing partnerships where they're using APIs to streamline the integration method. They might be offered to banks, for example, who are looking at financing around that vehicle. Maybe they are offering an option for banks to be able to lend based on the use of the tractor that will have them a little bit like health insurers are incentivizing individuals to share their activity data to improve their insurance premium. This could be the same for a bank or a financing organization around the use of the product that they might have loaned money to acquire. Maybe there's a third scenario of a partner organization, a agri-tech business that is consuming tractor usage data to monitor energy efficiencies across environments and use that for building, sustaining their own either digital products or business models of their own. So embedded businesses are not just about embedding data and digital API products into partners and new distribution channels, but they're also about embedding APIs from other players, so at either end of the business, if you like. And the use of APIs components that can be digital components that can be bought or consumed or shared from others, as distinct from writing that code themselves, leads on to this question that many people are asking at the moment, is how in participating in this API economy, are they seeking to embed or to be embedded? That is the question. So what is this looking like for API product management? We're seeing three types of shifts for that capability that are playing out in organizations across any sectors, not just our imaginary manufacturer distributor. They're across customer delivery and capabilities. First, in the customer perspective, if we go back to our imaginary company, imagine what is now needed to be known about these partner organizations that perhaps would never have been in the need or the capability of a product team looking after tractors. So now, if they're looking to improve existing partnerships, that might mean getting very deep into ERP system providers that may be consuming, whose platforms may be consuming these APIs to use in new and different ways, rather than going direct to the supplier themselves. If they're looking to offer embedded capability to partners like financial institutions, then they're really going to need to understand the data, the language, the regulatory and security environment for providing APIs that those types of organizations could consume and use. Maybe a very different business model, different language, different rhythm, operating rhythm to the way they work. And that would be potentially even more so in a startup style partnership opportunity. If you were looking with an agri-tech new player in the industry, they would likely to have very fast moving technical development delivery cycles. They're most likely born agile, cloud enabled, evergreen from the outset. They'll be happy to try something out and to pivot if something doesn't work, but they'll be expecting very fast turnaround on experiments, data access, etc. Things that might be very different from the ways of working that our traditional tractor organization has needed to build the scale and credibility that they have. So the sorts of shifts that we're seeing around customer can be summarized as going from a place where the traditional organizations understand products, they understand their customers' businesses, and they understand those customers' processes. In New World, they're looking to understand partners and those partners' customers and their systems and data. They're effectively going from a customer base that is quite familiar, that they may have nurtured over many decades and that is deeply understood by all parts of their organization, to a more brave new world, new types of customers who operate, think differently, use different language, have different cycles of change. Effectively, they're going from reimagining a customer experience to reimagining a developer experience. This is a very big shift that we're seeing people need to face into culturally. The next shift we see is in delivery. And this is, again, we see very similar situations regardless of sector, whether it's financial services, healthcare, insurance, manufacturing, government even, are looking to absorb and get really good at the types of delivery processes and ways of working that have made the tech industry very successful. And that comes to life in the world of APIs. It's worth noting that we see very different interpretations of what product means. If you want to know more about that, do get in touch with myself or look at a Apidays London presentation I did last October 2022, which talks about the DNA of the API product manager. What we're seeing playing out is shifts from organizations focusing on APIs as ways of integrating systems as part of a project construct to APIs with a long-running product lifecycle, clear lifecycle ownership. We're seeing the funding shift from cyclical investment cycle-driven funding, project-based, to long-running product funding behind these digital assets, these APIs. We're also seeing that the delivery process, in other words, getting APIs designed, built, and executed, is moving from what I would call a one-way traffic from a business requirement to a technology need. It's moving to much more of a collaborative three-way conversation between technologists, business specialists, business experts, and digital teams to collaborate and find the best way of servicing and coming up with these API products. The third area where we're seeing significant shifts is in capabilities. And this is in the actual people who are undertaking API product management functions. We're lucky to get to talk to IT and business leaders and their HR counterparts. And many of the things that they're telling us that they struggle with could be addressed with successful API product management or one or more API product managers. And a good way to understand what people are seeking with this role is to look at how they're advertising for it. This is a definition that used before from Gartner. It's a couple of years old now, but it does aim to try and sum up the role of what's involved in API product management. This ecosystem that they refer to, by the way, could be in a large organization, maybe an internal ecosystem, given that APIs are ways of componentizing, simplifying tech architecture, and often working out which teams are best placed to produce and consume APIs can be part of managing the way through that ecosystem, a role for the API product manager. But it gives a segue to how people are placing adverts for API product managers. This is one that we found recently in a financial services organization based out of the UK, and it has a good illustration of some of the deliverables that this digital API product manager is responsible for executing. Things that might be familiar: product, strategy, design, vision, delivery, roles that or responsibilities that might be familiar to job descriptions in industries for architects or project managers or designers, even, and engineering leads, even change agents. Which is why it's also worth pointing out the softer skills and needs that people are seeking, or the how words that define what's expected of this role. A lot of these shaping, crafting, negotiating, influencing, inspiring words provide a good idea of the style of work that is the way of going about doing this job of API product management, which is highly collaborative, very much about communicating and inspiring and motivating and navigating through traditional boundaries and so on. One of the challenges is for this type of role is that it's being sought from someone with sometimes less than 10 years experience, which could suggest that they're really looking for some kind of a superhero, which may be hard to fill. We certainly see these roles as very much in demand, particularly because it is still such a new discipline. So these shifts, in summary, are high demand capability. It's the role is moving from having been maybe a technologist with good business understanding to increasingly a more commercially minded person who's really digitally savvy. There's a move from buying in or renting this to growing capability in-house that really deeply understands the business and the data and the use of and opportunities for partnering within and beyond the organization. However, there are many kind of flavors and subsets to this, somewhat depending on the industry. So some of the challenges about how to meet that demand that we're seeing is arguably it is easier to fill on the basis that the superhero role can't be may be difficult to fill without supplementing it with additional support. The easier gaps to fill are some of the delivery skills. It's relatively straightforward to find good delivery people. It's relatively easy to support people with API technical know-how. They do need to have a particular mindset, and they need to have some engineering skills and capability, but that can be taught. And the kind of ways of working, the collaboration practices, can be role modeled or supported for someone who perhaps doesn't have as much experience in that. The harder gaps to fill, the harder skills to find are the commerciality, the creativity element of the API product management role. So this is really going out and being continuously curious and researching about opportunities, where they may come from, looking at and understanding the existing data and systems of the business and customers' businesses and partners' customers' businesses to be able to seek out and harness potential opportunities for unlocking data via APIs. And lastly, we see that for many people in large organizations, having existing relationships and connections is often the way in which it is easy to get stuff done, because many API and digital products require operating potentially beyond existing organizational structures and boundaries. So these are the things that we believe reflect a company's culture and its values, the things that are hard to replace, the things that an organization would want to hold on to in its teams, and therefore the things that we would suggest become the basis for an API product manager role. To fill some of those easier to support gaps, we recommend really investing in supporting people, scaffolding them, if you like. And this is where we find that organizations are really getting value from outside external support, which is helping these teams build the capabilities, skills, know-how for them to be really effective in realizing embedded business opportunities. So in summary, embedded business models are brought to life by really understanding other ecosystems. We see that many organizations are moving from this project to product mindset and thinking and functional and funding models. The impacts of this cut deep, but they certainly are hugely relevant for supporting embedded business models through API products. And when it comes to a capability, the demand for the role remains high. So thank you very much for that time. If you would like to get in touch, you can contact me on LinkedIn, Claire Barrett at LinkedIn with the name Claire-Global at the end. Thank you very much.